We have a roundtable tomorrow in the 2 o'clock hour on KMOX. That will feature Jane Duker. I think Jeff Rainford's going to be here. He had to ditch out last week. And also the official state senator of the Mark Reardon Show, Eric Schmitt, who, by the way, happens to be here right now.
And now, the official state senator of the Mark Reardon Show. It's Eric Schmitt, official state senator of the Mark Reardon Show.
Ah, there we go. You get that twice in 1 week. How about that?
Big time, Mark.
So the reason that I'm having, there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. The reason that I'm having you on this afternoon is a story that we're running on KMOX News, is that there is a lawsuit now that is being filed on the part of some municipalities in response to your Senate Bill 5, which was passed this legislative session, signed by the governor to restrict municipal court fines.
Yeah, look, what we found in the wake of the Ferguson, issues, there was a lot of data that came to light about the number of municipalities, particularly in St. Louis County, that were using their citizens as nothing more than ATMs. There were 14 municipalities in St. Louis County alone where their single biggest source of revenue was traffic tickets and fines, and there were way too many cities, way too dependent on those fines to operate their budgets. And it was bloated local big government, essentially, and they were operating via a speed trap. And St. Anne was always the most obvious example. They replaced the revenue from the mall with going from 1,000 to 10,000 tickets in a 5-year period. So we're all very familiar with that. And the legislature took action in a bipartisan way. We built coalitions with African-American clergy. We built coalitions with Tea Party organizations and conservative activists, with the ACLU, Republicans and Democrats, and in an overwhelming bipartisan way passed a municipal court reform bill that restricted the amount you can get from traffic tickets and fines, and also eliminated this practice of having debtor prisons and creating cycles of poverty. So what happened today? Well, a group of 12 mayors from some of these cities that were profiteering off their residents filed a lawsuit to stop it. And quite frankly, to me, it's not a lawsuit against Senate Bill 5. It's a lawsuit against the people who've been treated like ATMs by these officials and continue to fund their budgets with these speed traps.
So who's actually filing the lawsuit?
So you have a number of cities like Cool Valley, Belle-Nore, Normandy, a lot of North County municipalities, which, by the way, I think of the 12 cities, the total population is 26,000 folks. But these mayors who, by the way, are maybe some of the most egregious violators of this, who have reaped 30, 40, 50% of their revenues from traffic tickets and fines. And guess what? The arc of history now, they're on the wrong side of history, Mark. The people have spoken. They've decided that this is not the appropriate way to finance government, and it was ironically, predominantly African American, predominantly poor folks were being ensnared in this unjust system, and we aim to fix it. We moved forward with reform, and they are trying to turn back the clock, and it's inappropriate. And so, like I said, some of the most abusive practices were in the cities that were actually filing the lawsuit.
Yeah,
and,
so cool. Normandy and Cool Valley. Normandy gets 40% of its revenue from traffic tickets and fees. Cool Valley received 30% of its revenue. So are they doing this under the umbrella of the municipal league or anything like that?
They filed individually. You've got Belle-Nore, Cool Valley, Moline Acres, Northwoods, Pagedale, Upland, Velda Village Hills, Veneta Park, Wellston. Probably some of the folks, the places your listeners are very familiar with getting a speeding ticket or something on. And what they're doing essentially is they want more money. They don't want to have to make the tough decisions. They don't like the idea that if they get more than 12.5% now, disincorporation's automatically on the ballot if they don't remit that excess to the county school fund. This was a way forward, Mark. This bill represented a way forward for a better governance structure. Taxpayers would be treated with respect. And again, they're trying to turn back the clock with this lawsuit, which I believe is meritless.
Let's talk about the merits of it, because you're a lawyer, right? And the Attorney General, Chris Koster, has said that he will vigorously defend against the lawsuit. You got a lot of people on your side. You held a news conference today with State Senator Jamila Nasheed, who's a Democrat. So what's the claim that they're making legally against the law?
They're making two claims. The first is that because we have a 12.5% which is a little different than the number we have for the maximum you can get in other places in St. Louis County, that makes it unconstitutional, which is nonsense. We have hundreds of laws that deal with particular problems in particular parts of our state in a different way. We have, the fact is, no other place in this state did you see the level of abuse, the number of speed traps, the number of debtor prisons, the number of cities that were treating like their citizens like ATMs. And so we have a different threshold for St. Louis County, which is perfectly legal under the law. We have, for example, Mark, in St. Louis County, we have a different TIF statute than the rest of the state. We have a pool tax that's unique to St. Louis County. There is precedent going back decades that allows the General Assembly to deal with particular problems in different parts of the state. The other aspect of the bill that they're objecting to is that we, heaven forbid, are requiring minimum standards like a balanced budget, an annual audit. These things that most folks would be shocked to find that their cities don't do. We're saying you have to have a minimum level of governance, and it's not going to cost you money to do it. You have existing personnel that can comply.
They're using taxpayer money also to fight
and that
this,
is an
right?
important point. They are using the irony here. Okay, they've been picking the pockets of taxpayers for decades. Then they used taxpayer money to fight the reforms in the General Assembly and were unsuccessful. Now they're using taxpayer money to fight the lawsuit. It's unfortunate, but no less it's stunning that these leaders are turning their backs on the very people that they're supposed to represent.
State Senator Eric Schmitt, who is, the official state senator of the Mark Reardon Show, has earned that title over the years, continues to do so. We'll be here on the roundtable tomorrow. Senator, we'll talk then.
Thanks, Mark.
I'm guessing that's a topic that we will tackle on the roundtable along with the Syrian refugees and some of the other issues of the week. 2 o'clock tomorrow.